Hey everybody, it's Tim from the Bulwark. I was at an anti-ICE protest in Kenner, a suburban neighborhood outside of New Orleans. It has a big immigrant community, particularly immigrants from Honduras, but also other Central and South American countries. And I met with a bunch of activists who had gathered in a parking lot where ICE officials had been staging their raids over the past few days. And so I want to show you a couple of the conversations I've had from there, and then a couple of the videos that they provided me of what they've seen from the ICE raids here in New Orleans. But just in the biggest picture, I just wanted to talk about like what my takeaways are from what we've seen. It parallels what we've seen in other cities, which is that this effort is a lot more about PR. It's about scaring people and intimidating people than it is about getting rid of criminals like Donald Trump has planned. Just looking at the facts here, the Associated Press reviewed the arrests they've had so far in the first couple of days. They've had 38 people arrested. Only 9 of them had criminal histories. They got that information even though intelligence bulletin internal to ICE and CPB warned that they should not be distributed to the media. Oops, oh well. Local officials here are not being coordinated with or not being worked with. One example, City Council President J.P. Morrell said there's literally no information being given to the city of New Orleans whatsoever. If their goal is for them to come here and augment existing law enforcement to pursue violent criminals or people with criminal histories, why wouldn't you be more transparent with who you've arrested and why? That was his quote. But then also, why wouldn't they want to work with the city? Work with the people on the ground who have actual information that could maybe be helpful. I can answer that rhetorical question. They're not doing that because they're not interested in going after criminals per se. What they're interested in doing is menacing people, particularly in brown neighborhoods, particularly neighborhoods where there are a lot of immigrants. And that is what I was hearing when I was out at this protest today. And just shout out, by the way, to these folks who are on the text chains, who are, following the ICE and CBP officials around when they're in their masks, raiding and going after people. They're citizens. They're taking from their time to document this horrific behavior by our government. They're putting themselves at risk because here in Louisiana, in particular, they passed one of those laws that's, to me, an affront to the First Amendment that limits specifically what kind of activities protesters can engage in, and says that they can be arrested if they do anything that interferes with the law enforcement activities. And that is a legislation that the Attorney General here in Louisiana has said that they plan on enforcing in a very strict way. When I talked to folks who are out there, the activists and the protesters, they all were very aware of the risk that they were facing. And, some had taken different precautions, such as like writing their lawyer's name on their arm in case their phones get confiscated or in case they don't want to let officials get into their phones. So anyway, just a big shout out to all the people that are actually out there sending a message from the community that there are people in New Orleans who aren't okay with this just fascistic behavior from the federal government. So what am I hearing from them? Number one, little man, Greg Bovino, the wee little Napoleon syndrome guy that is invading these cities and doing the Nazi hand signs. He wants attention. This is obvious, but it's just worth stating. There's no reason for him to be showing up himself personally at these types of raids, but he is. They say they've seen situations where they will, he'll be in the SUV and, they'll be targeting a couple of individuals and like he will get out of the car and confront those officials themselves. There'll be video cameras watching him. Like, this is a big show. He did a frog march through the French Quarter when they got down here a couple of days ago. Like, the PR element of this is just so obvious and so blatant. I mean, if it wasn't so horrible what they were doing, it'd be almost funny how pathetic it is. Like that this little guy wants to get on TV and he wants confrontation. He wants confrontation so they can escalate and so that he can seem like the tough guy. So that's one thing that I've heard. The other thing is, again, how they are intimidating people and they want people to feel fear. They're particularly targeting this neighborhood in Kenner because they know that there are, families with mixed status, that there are people here who are following the laws, but who are not documented, who are, working in the community. And a lot of those folks are scared and a lot of folks are staying at home. And there are a lot of jobs that that are not being completed. And, there's this tweet today sent by our vice president, a condescending prick, who shared a TikTok video from a white guy in Louisiana who was talking about how he's gotten so many calls for contracting work, and how that shows that these jobs are being taken from real Americans by these undocumented immigrants. I watched that whole video. And the interesting thing is, who the hell knows whether it's true or not? And should the vice president be quote tweeting random TikToks without any verification? No. But let's even say it's true. The guy said he has he's a contractor here, and he said he's gotten 20 calls sometimes a day now for completing jobs. The thing that caught my ear was can you do that? Can you complete all the jobs? Because it doesn't seem like it. Is there going to be a little bit more work for you and for your company? It seems like it. Yeah, it seems like there'd be a little bit of work. Is that work going to be because everybody that was doing those jobs was undocumented? No, I don't think so. There are a lot of people who are here legally who are not wanting to show up to contracted jobs because they don't want to be harassed. Maybe they have family members that have a different status. There are a lot of reasons to be scared and not want to show up right now. When I was talking to the folks at the protests, that is, what I heard was that in this community, there are a lot of folks right now that are suffering, that are made to be afraid, and our government is doing it to them for no good reason. That is the big takeaway. There is no evidence in Louisiana that they have successfully identified violent criminals and gotten them out of the country. There is no evidence that this is going to make things more affordable or whatever it is that J.D. Vance is arguing here in Louisiana. There's no evidence that people are going to be safer. What these guys are doing is they are putting on a fascist PR stunt. And they're doing it here because the governor of the state is going to allow them to, because the governor of the state is also a little man with Napoleon syndrome who wants to, seem like a tough guy, just like Bovino. There are real people that are going to suffer here because of it. People who just wanted to do work, live their lives, support their community, and exist in a community in peace. And that peace is being taken from them by this government. The other thing I was struck before the group went out on the protest march today, there was a moment of prayer. And there was a lot of talk about Christian faith, God protecting this community. And I think that's pretty noteworthy, that there was groups that came together that felt like they had to pray to God for protection from our government that is pretending like they are acting in service to Christian nationalism, to whatever, that they will put on their cross necklaces, and from behind their cross necklaces, they will go after and attack and scare people that are God-fearing, law-abiding, and just trying to survive. And I think it's pretty sick. So I want to play a couple of clips. Here's just a little brief snippet from that prayer so you can kind of get a sense of the gathering.
We ask, God, that your mercy, that your face shines upon everyone here. Te pedimos que tu gracia, que tu misericordia, Señor, alumbre a cada uno de los que están acá, todas aquellas familias, Señor, que han sido afectadas, Padre, por todo eso que se está moviendo, Señor. Pedimos tu paz. We ask for your peace, Señor.
And up next, I want to play for you a little bit from my conversation with Greta, who is with Indivisible Kenner, which was one of the groups organizing this protest. And she just tells this heartbreaking story about a baby whose parents have been made to be unable to care for it because of what's been happening here. It's terrible. It is kind of noisy, I should say, at this protest. You got a lot of cars coming by that are honking. So if you can't make it through that, I do want to flag that after this, I want to play one video that was sent to me today that, well, I mean, it's a horrible situation, but sometimes we have to smile at some of the more bold displays of resistance that we've seen, and I will have one more video on the back end for you, so stick around for that. If all the honking is too much for your little ears.
My name is Greta.
Greta, and this is your neighborhood?
This is my neighborhood. I live in Kenner, right across 2 blocks from here.
What have you been hearing about in the community or seeing? Have you heard
A lot of need. We need food. Babies, like a 20-year-old baby, 20 days old baby. Literally, like they picked up the father. The mom they're evicting her from her apartment, and then she's got to go live with other people. I mean, this is serious. It's dire need. I fed yesterday 14 families, and if anybody can help us support in that, I mean, I am literally going and making the boxes and stuff because they need it. Basic needs.
All right. Thanks to Greta so much for talking to me. This last video is from Roel. He's of Filipino origin, and he was out at a office parking lot in Metairie, which is the next suburb over from Kenner, when ICE, pulled up on him. And he's a U.S. citizen, and he had some none too nice things to say about the masked guys that were trying to give him the papers, please treatment because he isn't white. Let's listen to a little bit from Roel.
Y'all really try to fuck with people? Yeah, you are. I mean, come on, show me your face. Show me your face. You can show me your face, right? You can show me your face. Yeah, son. Show me your face, bro. Fucking pussy. Fuck y'all. Fuck you. Fucking pussy.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much to Roel. Thanks to everybody here in New Orleans who's been posting their experiences, has been posting examples of misbehavior by our government. Continue to do that. Please flag it for me. We've got a tips line, thebulwark.com/tips, or you can tag me on social media, and I'll do my best to elevate the videos that people need to see about what ICE is doing here in New Orleans, or anywhere else across the country. Appreciate you all. Subscribe to the feed. We'll be seeing you soon.